So this is the next sum you can see here. Same as the previous sum. A sample of 300 students found to have a mean weight of 70 kg. Can it be reasonable that sample has been drawn from the large population with a mean weight of 68 kg and a standard deviation of 5 kg? Test at 5% significance level whether the given sample represents the population or not. Okay, so suppose in exam this question is asked. In the question, they will not mention whether you have to do Z test or whether you have to do T test. Okay, so what and all information is given in the question based upon we only have to assume that whether we have to do Z test or T test. So in none of the question they will give that do Z test, do T test. So first we have to check what and all data is given. So n number of students, that is sample size is given, standard deviation of population is given, mean of population is given, mean of sample is given. Then go for the Z formula, whether all the data related to Z formula is there or not. Okay, if data is there, then you have to go for Z test. Because the same sum can be solved even in t-test. So you have to check whether the formula for the t-test formula, when you do t-test formula, there will be a small difference in formula. So you will have standard deviation of a sample. Suppose sample is given, then you cannot do z-test. So you have to go for t-test. Okay. So first you have to note down what and all data which is given in the question. Then you can write the formula and check whether it is applicable, whether we can do the z-test or not. Okay. So in this question, we have all the data, and if you check with the formula, we can apply z-test. Okay. And it's the same way. Always your null hypothesis H naught is equal to mu equal to 68. 68 is nothing but your population mean. You see that population means in the question, the first sum was with height, the second sum is with weight of the students or any respondent. Okay, so you see that population mean is 68 kg and the standard deviation of population is 5. Always your null hypothesis is from the population. So H naught is equal to mu equal to 68 is with your null hypothesis. And your alternate hypothesis can be either, always your alternate hypothesis is not equal to. Okay. So, but it can be either greater or less. So, when it is either greater than 68 or less than 68, it is called as two-tailed. Okay. Till that is the same as you have done. Apply z-test formula and you are getting answer as 7.14. So, in the second sum, you are getting answer as 7.14. So, in 7.14 does not lies. Since it is two-tailed, you have to check between plus or minus 1.96. If it is one-tailed, you have to check between plus or minus 1.68. So here you are getting an answer as 7.14, right? So it does not lie between plus or minus 1.96. So your H naught is rejected. So in the second sum, you reject your null hypothesis and you conclude that your sample mean does not represent the population, right? So in the first sum, your null hypothesis was accepted and you concluded that the sample represents the population. Now, in the second sum, your answer does not lie between plus or minus 1.96. So you conclude that your sample does not represent the population. Your null hypothesis is rejected. Right? Understood? Hope you have noted down the second sum. Done? Shall we move to the third sum?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, we can move.
Now, third sum, again same concept, but you can read the question properly. A mean of certain path process is, I don't know, with 50, that is the mean is 50 with standard deviation 2.5. The path manager welcomes any change in the path to be on the higher side, but would like to safeguard from decreasing, comma, a sample of 12 with a mean of 48.5 is taken. That means first mean is given about population. The population mean is 50. Okay, it's a mean of some path process and its standard deviation is 2.5. Okay, now this manager of that company wants a change in the process, but the change in the process should always have an higher impact. So I have underlined in the question higher side. Okay, so for that change, he has taken a sample of just 12 and the sample mean is 48.5. Okay, so you have a population mu with a mean of 50, sample mean 48.5, sample size 12, n, and standard deviation of population is given here on the first line 2.5. Okay, this is mean, this is the sample size, and this is the mean of the sample x bar. Okay, but in this sum they have already given you using z-test. Okay, sometimes they may give or they may not give. Why they have given here using z-test? Because when your sample size is less than 30, when your sample size is less than 30, it is called as small samples and you have to do t-test. Okay, but the person wants to analyze this data using z-test, so they are given you z-test. Okay, otherwise you can solve this sum in t-test also because your sample size is small. Okay, now
Ma'am, if sample size is less than 30, which test, madam, you said?
t-test.
Okay.
Okay, but if in question, if they have asked you to do z-test, because z-test can be done both for small samples and large samples. Okay, so you can apply t-test also here for the same question. You can apply z-test also. Okay. Now, if we see, cursor is not moving. Yeah. See again the same formula. The only difference between the previous two sums and this sum is you are framing h naught equal to mu equal to 50. Mu is nothing but your population mean. Now, what that manager has told, after taking a sample, the manager has told that he wants only the result to be on the higher side. That means your mean should never decrease. Your mean should never decrease. Either it should be the path process should have a mean of 50 or the path process should have an improvement. So in this case, your alternate hypothesis is not equal, but you have only one option greater than 50. You don't have one more option less than 50 because it is given in the question that always your analysis should, the result should have only higher values or it should be equal to 50. So your alternate hypothesis has only one option, that is greater than 50. So when you have only one option, then it is called as one tail. Right? So previous two sums, nothing was given in the question. So you had two options and both the sums were two tail. But here in this question, they have told that your result should be on the higher side. So you have only one option greater than 50. So here it is one tail. Okay. Remaining everything is same. You apply the Z formula. You are getting the answer as minus 2.08 here. Okay. Only thing, your answer has to be checked between plus or minus 1.68 because your question is related to one tail. Okay. So you should not check between plus or minus 1.98. Okay. So we have to check between plus or minus 1.68 because this represents one tail. Okay. Whether it lies, again here it does not lies. Okay, so H naught is rejected because our answer here is minus 2.08. So we reject the hypothesis. Okay, so what if we reject the hypothesis? What is our conclusion? The sample mean does not represent population. Okay, that means you have one more conclusion here. The path process shows increase in the population mean. That means your alternate hypothesis is accepted. That means the new surveys may give you a better result when compared to the old one. So you need not go for the old path process. You can go for a better, higher end path process since your sample gives you a better result than the population. So sample is on the higher side when compared with the population. It is not equal to the populations since your H is rejected. Okay, so you have sample does not represent because it shows you an higher result as you have noted down in your alternate hypothesis. So these are the methods where you can do your Z-test when you have a single population and a single way of selecting a sample. So this is the formula of Z-test. Now, two more formulas are there in Z-test. I will do that today and we will stop for today's session. Okay. All these three sums, the formula for Z-test, which you have done, you have noted when you have noted the formula, the population is infinite. You don't know about the population, then only you can apply this formula. Okay. But if you know about the population, you know what is the population size. Suppose you are doing a survey in a college. So you know what is the strength of the college students, right? How many students are there? So when you know the population size, population is finite, countable, then your Z-test formula becomes your second formula in Z-test. You can note down. When your population is finite, remaining everything remains the same. Sample size may be large, small, population variance is known. It can be one tail or two tail, but your formula changes. You can note down, this is your second formula in Z-test. The concept is same. Only thing, when your population is known, then you may add one more variable called as N1 in your formula. That is nothing but the size of the population. Remaining all variables are known to you. And your formula changes to x bar minus mu, the whole divided by standard deviation. Yes. Premlata ma'am, anything you want?
No ma'am, no.
Yeah, so your formula changes to x bar minus mu whole divided by standard deviation of population divided by root n. This is the same thing into one more factor you are adding square root of n1 minus n divided by n1 minus 1, where n1 is the size of the population because your population is finite. Got it? So in your question, if the population size is given, you have to go for the second formula. Right? Noted? Noted the formula? Yes? Now take the sum. You can note down the sum. Actually, I need not explain the concept because only the formula changes, whereas the concept remains the same. Okay? Your framing of hypothesis, your analyzing and interpreting is same. Okay. Only thing, if you read this question, there will be a N1 factor added to your question. Suppose we are interested in a population of 20 industrial unit of same size. So 20 represents your N1, which was not there in your previous three sums. Okay, that means you have to apply the second formula. All of which experience extensive labor turnover problem. The past record shows that the mean of distribution of annual turnover is 320 employees. So this is your mu. And this is your standard deviation of the population. A sample of 5 industrial units. So this is your N. Is taken at random, which gives an annual turnover of 300 employees. This is your X bar. Using Z-test, check whether the sample mean is consistent with population test at 5% significance level. So we have to read the questions, what and all given in the question. Since population size is given, we have to go for the second formula. Right? Noted? So the second formula, remaining everything is same. H naught equal to mu equal to 320, your population mean. H naught, nothing else is given about the labor turnover. So you have alternate hypothesis not equal to, it can be either greater or less. So it is two-tail. Apply the second formula, get the answer. Check whether your answer lies between plus or minus 1.96. Okay, since here in this question it lies, so H naught is accepted. So since it is two-tail, you have to check between plus or minus 1.96 and H naught is accepted. Okay, and so we conclude that sample represents the population. Same conclusion. Only the formula differs because you have a population size. Got it? The concept is same. Done. Shall we move further? Yes. Bala sir?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm following, ma'am.
Yeah. So last concept in Z-test. This is again one more sum. I'll send this slide. This is the last formula in Z-test. There are still more formulas. That basically these are the three formulas which are used in Z-test. So the first formula is when population is infinite. Second formula is when population is finite. And the third formula, when you have two populations and you have taken two samples. That means suppose you have collected data from a city A and you have collected data from a city B. So city A represents one population, city B represents another population. So you have two populations And from A also you have collected a data, and from B also you have collected a samples. So when you have in your question two populations and two samples, then your z-test formula is x1 bar minus x2 bar whole divided by root over standard deviation of population 1 square divided by n1 plus standard deviation of populations 2 square divided by n2. Note down this formula. This is the formula used when you have two populations and two samples. Okay. Suppose in your question, standard deviation of population is not given, whereas standard deviation of sample is given, then you can even use standard deviation of samples. So I have written an alternate formula here. If population standard deviation is not given, we can use standard deviation of samples. Both will give the same results. So again, same z-test, same concept, but when there are two populations and two samples. Okay. So these are the two formulas based on two population and two samples. Noted? Whereas method of doing is same. You can see this sum. A simple random survey with respect to monthly earnings of semi-skilled workers in two cities are given below. Okay. So city A, city B. So you have, seeing the question only, we can say that there are two populations and two samples are selected. That is from city A, 200 samples are selected. City B, 175 samples are selected. Test the hypothesis at 5% significant level to check whether there is no difference between two cities. Okay. So when there are two population and two samples, what you are going to test here is not in previous 2-3 sums you have framed that hypothesis is null hypothesis represents the population. So you always frame that mu is equal to the population mean. But when there are two population and two samples, your null hypothesis, what you are going to frame is that the samples drawn from both the populations are similar. That's what you are going to find. There is no difference between the city A and city B. Okay, so your hypothesis, you can see here, your H naught is x bar is equal to, x1 bar is equal to x2. Here you are not taking population, you are taking only the mean of samples. Okay, and you are telling that since sample mean from city A is equal to the sample mean from city B, that is, there is no difference between the city A and city B. That's what you are going to conclude. See, if I take samples from city A, the perception of people from city A and the perception of people from city B are same. That's what you conclude from your null hypothesis. So what city A people thinks, same thing the city people B also thinks. So there is no mistake for me to take from A or B. That is your null hypothesis. So null hypothesis says that mean of A is equal to mean of B. There is no difference between city A and city B. Okay, so when there is two population and two samples, your null hypothesis is x1 bar equal to x2 bar. Okay, and what can be the alternate hypothesis? Not equal. So again, you have two options, either x1 is greater than x2 or x1 is less than x2, and again it is 2 take. Right? So only the framing of hypothesis differs in this third formula. Okay. Next, apply the formulas. and get the answer. So what is given here? Mean is given, that is x1 bar is given for city A, standard deviation for city A is given, sample size for city A is given. Similarly for city B. You can see in the right side, x1 is given, x2 is given for city A and B, standard deviation for city A and B is given, sample size n1 for city A and n2 for city B is given. Okay. Now, whatever required for the formula, since standard deviation of sample is given, you have to go for the second formula. If standard deviation of population is given, you can go for the first formula. Since here sample is given, you have to go for the second formula and apply z-test, get the answer, and interpretation is same as you have done in your previous z-test sums. So you are getting the value as minus 2.806. Minus 2.806 does not lies between plus or minus 1.96. So H naught is rejected. Okay. So earnings in two cities are significantly different. H naught is rejected means what? X1 bar is not equal to x2 bar. You are telling x1 bar is equal to x2 bar, which is rejected. So what you conclude? Earnings in two cities are significantly different. You don't say that city A and city B perception with respect to monthly earnings of semi-skilled workers in city A is different and perception with respect to monthly earnings of semi-skilled workers in city B is different, since your hypothesis is rejected. Got it? So these are the three formulas which exam's point of view, they will ask you in z-test. First one, when it is infinite. Second one, it is finite. And third one, when you have two population and two samples drawn, you have to check whether both the samples represents the same population or not.